Dom's just fitted some sockets for USB plugs and 12-volt cigarette lighters, and that's the beginning of our electrical cabinet. I'm going to show you what else I've got and tell you what's missing and show you how we're going to lay it all out.
So you can see Missy is behind me up on the roof of the van, and that's because we're getting ready, hopefully manifesting rain. So we are putting a roof up here, just going to come out 1.5 meters, and then this section here is going to be shade material, and that's going to stretch over the triangular table here. And then in other jobs, built this wood store, looking at the current cost of living crisis and comparing that to off-grid in 30 seconds. First of all, you've got to buy your off-grid land. Gloria is sitting on 4 hopefully fertilised eggs, which we're hoping that 1 or more will hatch tomorrow. Morning, and welcome back to the Wildlands. And that's just some of the things in tonight's episode, where as always we're off-grid in Central Portugal. 1 week of jobs, so we're going to show you what we've been up to, and also we've got some absolutely fabulous news to share with you later. In July 2021, with the increase in travel restrictions caused by Brexit and the pandemic, we decided to buy off-grid land in Portugal to live a more sustainable lifestyle.
Follow along with our journey as we turn our beautiful but derelict land into our very own slice of off-grid heaven. Wildlands.
So, an unexciting job leading to an exciting job today. So this is the inside of the back of the kitchen. So you can see the worktop up the top here. So this is where our budget solar system is going. So what I want to do is where you can see the sunlight coming through the pallets here. Obviously that's exposed to the elements, even though it's a foot this way under the roof. So I'm just going to cover these in marine ply and line them with tarp to create a barrier to the wind and the sun and the frost and all the extreme elements that we get here, so that it's ready for our solar to go in here, which Missy's going to talk you through a bit later and tell you what we've got and what's going in here to power the shade house going forward. So it's exciting stuff, but starting off with an unexciting job. So I'm going to whiz through that and show you what I've done in a bit. So this bit of wood used to be Martin's bed in his van, so we're reusing it. Waste not, want not, eh?
Dom's just fitted some sockets for USB plugs and 12-volt cigarette lighters, and that's the beginning of our electrical cabinet. I'm going to show you what else I've got and tell you what's missing and show you how we're going to lay it all out. It's a very simple, basic kind of setup, a bit less than we have in the van. So to start, we have the power is going to come from solar panels which are on the roof. Their wires will run down through this 30 amp breaker into the MPPT, which hasn't arrived yet because it's coming with the solar panels. Out of the MPPT through this 50 amp breaker and then down to the positive bus bar. Then the loads, which will be lights that we fit and the sockets that I told you about, their cables will run across inside the cabinet and down to here, which is our blade fuse box. So the positives will go here and the negatives will go here. Then we'll run the negative to the negative bus bar and the positive to the positive bus bar through this 50 amp breaker. We have a 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter. That's partly to run Starlink and anything else that we might care to do. We're going to run a couple of extension cables with Portuguese or European sockets plugged into the 2 sockets on the back of the inverter, and then we can plug in multiple things. So again, the positive will come out through this 200 amp breaker and onto our positive bus bar, the negative up to the negative bus bar, and then the only other thing missing here is our shunt, and that is a Victron shunt, and it's going to come from the negative bus bar, will go to the shunt, and that will go to the batteries. I'll show you those in a moment. And then the positive bus bar will also run, so there's just one cable from in and out going down to the batteries. We have 3 of these batteries. They're 150 amp hours deep cycle AGM batteries, similar to what we have in the van. We're actually going to turn them around so they're on 1, 2, 3 like this. And then on the back wall of the cupboard is where we're going to screw a piece of ply that I'm going to attach all of those other bits to. So I'll do as much wiring as I can on the board, stick the board in there, and then just run a couple of cables onto the batteries. These are the sockets.
So you can see Missy is behind me up on the roof of the van, and that's because we're getting ready, hopefully manifesting rain. So rain has been forecast on and off over the last few days, but we've only had a few drops, but it is forecast today with a 60% chance. And as you can see, the weather's a lot cooler, it's 25, so it's still quite humid. And whilst that might feel quite hot if you're in the UK, 25 is not 40 plus, so we're very pleased about that. So we've been doing quite a few other jobs. So at the moment, Missy's resealing the Sikaflex around our Max van. So with 3 years on the road, the original Sikaflex that we put on when we built the van has suffered in the heat. And we had a leak in the Max fan, which last winter sent the Max fan crazy. So that needs repairing before the rains come. And also in preparation for the rain until we get our roof on, we've got a rather attractive tarp on the kitchen. So I know we've mentioned it before, but a lot of people asked, why have we not got a roof? So we are putting a roof up here. Just going to come out 1.5 meters, and then this section here is going to be shade material, and that's going to stretch over the triangular table here, so that next summer we've got shade in the whole of this area, and the kitchen will be protected as much as it can outside because the rain will still blow in and out. But we're going to put a tin roof up because it's the cheapest option. So that's our temporary rain protection. Let there be rain later. And then in other jobs, built this wood store. So tarp cover again, just to keep the wood dry, but it's basically 3 pallets along the back, 3 on the floor and 1 either end, so 8 pallets. And then I made a box here for kindling and smaller bits of wood. I've been quite concerned that we've not chopped any wood through the summer, so I'm chopping lots of wood now, dried trees off the land. And all my offcuts from the kitchen have either been, so this was built entirely from knackered pallets and offcuts from the kitchen, and everything that was left has gone in here. So let me show you that. And at the moment, I've left the tarp much bigger than it needs to be because I don't have many logs in. So I've got about 4 foot spare. I'm going to cut it to size once it's full of logs. So that's the logs I chopped yesterday, and then that's my kindling just to keep it in one place. So the plan is to fill this with logs and then also bag up loads of pine cones, pine needles off the land and just stick them over there so that we've got plenty of kindling, because we use between 1 to 2 wheelbarrows worth of wood in an evening in the winter to keep ourselves toasty under the shade house. Really looking forward to having a fire. Don't know when that'll be. It usually depends when the first really heavy rain session is. So last year it was early in September, so we could have a fire after that. But the year before it didn't rain until November heavily enough for the fire restrictions to be lifted. And I didn't bother filming this build because it's not very exciting. It's just a really basic wood store. So it's really all the pallets that I mentioned earlier screwed together with waste wood. I floored out the bottom again with waste wood, split wood, broken wood, pallet bits that are no good for future builds, just to get rid of them and make use of them and maximise recycling. And those of you that have watched us for a year since we've been here will remember that last time Martin was here, he very kindly built us this lovely A-frame, which we were using for logs last year, but it's now become a kind of tool shed. Paint at the top, boxes of stuff, stones, snorkel equipment, so a bit of a dumping ground as well. So we decided we needed a bigger log store, and rather than pull everything out here, we decided long, straight, thin one. So Martin's back with us next week, so we'll see if he builds us anything exciting when he comes back. So welcome back to Chicken World. So I haven't had you in Chicken World for a while, so I thought I'd give you an update. So this is Gloria, who you've met before, and the chicken here is Betty, and you can see we've got chicken wire here and that is because Gloria is sitting on 4 hopefully fertilised eggs, which we're hoping that 1 or more will hatch tomorrow. So Gloria, bless her, she's been sitting on the eggs for 20 days. They normally hatch on the 21st to 23rd day. So tomorrow is the 21st day. And Betty's been blocked off from the chicken wire. She was trying to boot Gloria off, and Gloria was getting very upset. So we're rather hoping that tomorrow, young lady, you might have a chick or two, which would be very exciting. So, chopping wood. It's an exciting job, but it's a necessary must living off-grid. And some people say, what's it like to live off-grid? Well, looking at the current cost of living crisis and comparing that to off-grid, in 30 seconds, first of all, you've got to buy your off-grid land. And then generally speaking, you'd move onto your land and have no infrastructure. So you need to invest as well as the cost of the land in your infrastructure. But once you're set up, you've got no real bills, so you've got very minimal land tax, which is €30 a year here, so about £25 a year, so that's equivalent to council tax, £25 a year. Our electric is free because we have solar. Obviously you have to have the initial setup cost of solar. Our gas is off canisters, so I think I would say it's probably around €30, £25 every 3 months, so £100 a year for our gas bill. And then water, well, you know our woes of water in the garden from the well drying out, but you can get water all over Portugal, pretty much every village and town. If it's a bigger town, multiple occasions will have fonts or springs that are set up for the locals to go and collect water, which is suitable for drinking, so that's free. So we're obviously completely off-grid, so nothing is connected to the mains. But obviously for us, where everything is vastly inflating in price, we've got much of the infrastructure in place. So it is very attractive when you could sell your house, or for less than a year's rent, you could buy yourself a piece of land, get out of the rat race, generally be a lot freer. So that was a bit more than 30 seconds, but that's why we went off grid. But the flip side is actually quite hard work. So for example, you've seen we've been collecting wood and chopping it up ready for the winter. So 1 hour's chopping gives us about an evening's worth of wood. So that's a lot of wood we got to chop up. Also means we have to go down the land and collect the wood, which is Missy's job today, and I'm chopping up. So instead of working in an office, I spend all my day building things, chopping things up, and generally improving the infrastructure. You got a tree!
I've got a tree! It's heavy. Do some bicep curls while we're working. Oh dear, I snapped that a little bit and you stepped in poo.
Morning, ladies. What have we got in the box today?
Good morning.
Morning, Mummy.
Hello, Gloria. It's time to come out for a bit of food. Come on. It's all right. Come on. Oh!
Oh, look. Got a little baby.
Oh my goodness. Oh, and she's really fluffy. She must have hatched out late last night. Give her a little stroke. You can pick her up.
Yeah, go on.
Hello, darling.
Welcome to to the Wildlands.
Hi. Aren't you beautiful? Oh, Wibbly. I'm going to put you back in your nice warm nest now. She's got enormous feet. Look at that.
So that's a typical week off grid. Another week off grid on the Wildlands. Not always exciting, but the list of jobs grows ever longer. So my next job, once all the bits have arrived, is to get the roof up over the kitchen on the side of the shade house, like I mentioned earlier in the video. And then after that, hopefully when it's cooled down, I can get on finally with the bathroom, shower and pantry build, which I'm really looking forward to. And then also, over a year ago now, we put out a video on how to apply for your D7, and as you know, we've helped many people successfully apply for their D7 Portuguese residence visa, and we had a lot of problems, which is unusual, but we do know a few other people that had a few problems. So we're off back to England in a couple of weeks to reapply for our visa. So we'll put a video out soon on the current changes to the application, of which there's a few, and we'll let you know how our application goes, and hopefully we'll film most of it and get it up for a video. So as always, thanks very much for watching. Your support is really appreciated, especially those of you that have subscribed and those that buy us a coffee, and a welcome to our new Patreons, which is very exciting. We've been putting out some exclusive behind the scenes stuff on Patreon. So if you fancy supporting us, you're very much appreciated as well. Head on over to Patreon, link is in the description. So give us a like or a dislike, just give us something, and subscribe if you haven't done so, and all that stuff that I have to say at the end of a YouTube video. But really, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next week in another week on the Wildlands off-grid in Portugal. So, ciao.